Hello, and welcome to episode 3. I promised you we're going to talk about the heart and the mind center individually and what part of the mind is more coherent with the heart than the other side. And why do we have two separate hemispheres? The heart center is extremely important. Is it more important than the brain? Nope. Is it less important than the brain? Nope. It's just as important. It just houses a different type of energy. Your heart is different than my heart center. My heart center is different than each and every single person that's watching this right now. And you're all different from each other because you're all fragmented pieces of the one soul, the one energy, one source, one God, however you like to call it. And your fragmented piece is extremely important. So the best example I like to use is an apple. There's an entire apple, and inside that apple are seeds. In that one seed, it is a hologram of this apple. It is a hologram of the tree that came from this apple, or the apple that came from the tree. It is a hologram or holographic energy memory of the roots, the trunk, the branches, the leaves, the flowers, and this apple. And inside of this apple has its clone, many clones, and they're called seeds. And those seeds may or may not be dispersed to create more apple trees, in essence, more apples. So you are one of those seeds, and you are a holographic memory of the one, which in this case is an entire tree. You are that, but you're a seed at the same time. You are not the apple. You are not the tree. Does that make sense? I know that's a little hard to wrap your head around. You might want to watch this a couple times. So that message, what I just gave you right now, that just came from source. Just right now. As we speak, that story, even though I've heard of this story before with the apple and the seed and all that, but the way that I had retold this story was presented to me from source right now as we speak. And this is what happens when I do readings with my clients. Some things just are not pre-orchestrated. My energy connects with your energy. It creates a brand new energy. And so speaking of that, when your brain connects with your heart, it creates a new energy depending on the circumstances that that energy is interacting with. It may be a person, it may be your neighbor, your boss, maybe a friend, a child, maybe your parent, might be while you're driving down the street or sitting in nature, watching some news on TV, looking for the right clothes to wear for the day. In order to understand how to balance those two energies, you have to understand your own heart center. What level? We have learned that there's levels up and levels down. And here's another metaphor my source is giving me right now, my guides, is imagine that there's a ladder. Which level, which rung of that ladder is the most important? Some of you might say the top, because that means I'm at the top. That ladder's going somewhere, going up. So the last rung is the most important, but it's not. If there's one rung missing, that's going to make it really hard for you to get to the top. You might not even be able to make it. Your legs may not be able to lift that high to get to the next one, or your arms may not be able to pull you up. So that one rung that's missing, that's the most important one. It is. Where is it? The first one? First one could be the most important because you're not going anywhere until you get on that first one. Maybe the first one is actually the last one. Maybe you're climbing down somewhere, going deeper, because each one is extremely important. Like one level is not important than the other. So what is it that heart center needs, your special, unique heart center? So for instance, I have a client I was talking to yesterday, and her heart centered is around serving others, service to others. And the way that she her service to others is problem solving. She not only is a problem solver, she's a creative problem solver. Not only is she a creative problem solver, she has all three traits of a problem solver. And the third one is that she is a core problem solver, which means she goes down to the core issue, the deep issue of the problem, and solves that, because that takes care of all the rest. And that's what she does. And what's very fortunate about her is that she does this for a living. It's her job in the corporate world. And that's not why she came to me, though, as consulting me as a coach in astrology, is that she's also woo woo. She's a healer. She loves tarot cards. She's intuitive. She likes to read for other people. So this is what she wants to do on the side to fulfill that part of her need. Because in the corporate world, it's more strategic. It's directive. And it's her job. It doesn't feel like a lot of heart center is around it. There's a little bit because she puts her heart into it, but it's not always received in that way. So that's why she feels if she did this on the side, it would fulfill that. And that's what we need to do. Once you know what your heart-centered element is or focus is, and it'll change, it'll constantly change. There may be several. Then you have to make sure that you're either doing this in a volunteer situation or just as you walk around about your day or your job. Otherwise, you'll be, for instance, in her situation as a problem solver, if she didn't have that job or didn't have this extracurricular activity around it, she might be problem solving her husband and her brother and her mom and her kids and her neighbors unsolicitedly. None of them really want it. They're not coming to her. They haven't hired her for that. They haven't set up an appointment for her to do that. And that's when it becomes very destructive, extremely destructive. And that's when you feel that you're the victim, really, because you keep reaching out and trying to do all this wonderful stuff to people, and people are ignoring you, lashing out at you, talking like they're frustrated. You're irritable around you. And you don't know why. I'm such a nice person. I'm just trying to help them. So that is the inaccurate way of using your heart center, unsolicited. So then we have the brain. We have the left hemisphere and we have the right hemisphere. And many people know that the left hemisphere rules the right side of my brain. It goes across like this. And the left hemisphere rules, this is my left arm, rules the left side of my brain. Now, many of us have understood that left-handed people are very creative because the right side of the brain is where our creativity is. That's where our creative problem solving is. That is where our art is, our music is, our sleep state is, our meditative state. When we zone out, we're in that side of our brain. It's where we are musicians or we enjoy music. The left side of the brain is for more practical, logical, rational choices. So which part is connected to the heart center? Did you guess it? That's right. The right, left. The right side of the brain is more closely connected to the heart soul center. Now, this is my understanding. This is a download I received. You may not hear this anywhere else, but this is what sources told me. More that you want to make a heart brain connection. You want to become more intuitive. You want to be more placid and serene. You want to have creative problem solving strengths, much happier, more in gratitude. You want to see the bigger picture of situations and not be so narrowed in your vision. Then you want to strengthen the right side of the brain, which is connected to the heart. Very connected. And that's the way you do that is be as creative as you possibly can. Creativity may be listening to music. It may be performing music. Creativity may be redecorating your living room, doing art, gardening, writing a book, stringing beads, scribbling, playing with a child, walking in nature while listening to music. There's a lot of ways to add creativity in your life. Some of it you might have to force yourself to do that, and that's okay. Creative problem solving is a great way to work out that side throughout the day. There are real simple things too. Like if you're used to using your right hand for everything, start using your left hand for everything. Opening a door, picking up a mug, switching your knives and your fork, all kinds. Picking up your phone, use this hand. It's these crazy little things that can really help us strengthen that part of our brain. When I work with my clients, they'll say, sometimes I can hear like you're scribbling. And yeah, I am. I'm doodling. My doodle happens to look like art because I doodle the same thing, faces. I can do it without even thinking. Just draw on a face. It's very, very simple. And they're always half faces. Why? Because the other half takes too much concentration and too much thinking because I got to match the other side. And if I do the other side, it ain't matching, and that's on purpose. Sometimes I am scribbling. A lot of times it's me on my computer as well. But with that being said, I want you to do that as an exercise for this episode 3, a series of 10, Know Thyself. And that is to find something creative that you will do even 5 minutes a day. I don't care if it's meditating for 5 minutes a day, it's turning on music and dancing like you're 5 years old and twirling around and swirling around. If it's even reorganizing a pantry can feel creative with some music on in the background, and you're doing it through joy of that organization is joy for you, then do that. Find something that you can do for a week that's creative. Namaste. Oh, before I forget, in episode 4, we are going to talk about the essence of source. What is source? Why do we need to know what source is? How can I find source? I want to connect with source. What is that? It's a lot more practical and rational than you think. Bye-bye. See you next time.